Hopefully you guys enjoyed the ASMR portion of the video, and I hope to do it again in another video or so. Not sure when, just because there's always so much noise around here, so many things going on. And my bunny right now is currently eating. I can hear her, even though I'm like pretty far away from her. She chews really, really loud. Anyways, but today we're working with some ink. I use my Faber-Castell graphite pencils in matte, and then I'm using this Caran d'Ache travel brush. So these are the supplies. The palette that I'm using, I actually made it, and I'm going to continue to make more because I'm going to be selling them on Etsy when the shop opens up. So you guys can be on the lookout for that if you guys do like this palette. So what I'm doing here is practicing layout, and what I have done so far is created my little thumbs, did my little sketch, and now we're working with value. I'm continuing to practice my storytelling, and an exercise that I've been doing is creating these comics. And for this one, I had divided the Hanamulu sketchbook page into 4, and then just created these panels that are rectangular. I really enjoyed bug hunting when I was a kid, so I would be around my backyard and my front yard looking for bugs. I would look underneath the rocks, I would look in the bushes, and I would look around the flowers to see if there was like any ladybugs. I did not like butterflies, so that was like the one bug where I never tried to find because I just hated how they looked like really up close. I like their wings, but I don't like them near me. And I used to have this little bug hunting kit that I got from the dollar store, and I would put all my little bugs in there. I created them like a little habitat, and then I would later on release them. But sometimes I did want to keep them inside my house, so that's where this story comes in right here, where my bug hunting kit had broken, and so my sister taught me how to make like these little origami boxes out of paper. So what we would do was grab some College World paper, and we would cut them up and then fold them into 2 boxes. So one for the base and then one for the lid, and then that's how we would create our little entrapment for the roly-polies. Then we would go out to the front yard or the backyard and look underneath the bricks, because that's where we mostly found them. They really liked hiding there. But we went bug hunting so many times that we found there were no more roly-polies around those brick areas. Like we would end up finding like 1 or 2 maybe. But yeah, they were we were capturing them way too much throughout like the whole summertime that they didn't have time to like repopulate. So that's terrible. We did not let them live. We did not let them be. Later on though, we kind of just learned like to just let them be. Let them repopulate and like put them back. But sometimes we didn't put them back, and that was our bad because we just wanted to keep them inside our little box, inside our little entrapment, which is terrible. So for this panel, I was thinking how scared the little roly-polies would have been just seeing this giant hand grab them and like stuff them in this box. And then you see the other little roly-polies trying to escape the box. Once we brought them inside, we would just play around with them, and then we would leave them there for like a few hours or so, and then we would come back in thinking that our roly-polies would still be there, and then we would open up our little box to find that there are no roly-polies inside our box. And we would try to look for them, but we would never be able to find them anywhere. And then after like a few days or so, we would find them like underneath the bed and just near the shelf or something like that. And they would be dead, which is so sad that, you know, they tried to escape and they tried to look for food and they would just end up dying. But yeah, that's the story of the roly-polies that we would keep in the box. One time my dad did catch me and my sister playing around with our little roly-polies inside, and he told us to take them outside and put them back exactly where we found them. He had also told us that he was finding roly-polies around the house, so he was like, that's not okay, you know, you need to go put them back. And that's sort of where we learned to respect all life forms and, you know, respect nature. And if you're gonna look at the bug and grab it, you can do so, but always put it back. And always be respectful of nature. And yeah, and I continued to do that. I think I had more sympathy for life forms and bugs after that experience, after what my dad had told us. And yeah, so this little comic is just telling their side of the story, and sort of maybe what they were thinking, and with the tragedies that they went through. It was probably horrific for them. And now I'm just gonna leave you guys with a little bit of music, and then we'll be back for today's topic. Today's topic of the day is the importance of black and white. When I was first starting off in my art journey, I mainly worked in graphite and charcoal, and that's what I stuck to. And I didn't really enjoy using color. Color wasn't something that I really liked to use. I think I used it once in a while when I was working with oil pastels, but after that, I wouldn't touch it. The good thing about that was that I learned how to shift between my values very easily, and I worked great with positive and negative spaces, so that was a good thing. The negative side to that was that I was later on scared to use color, and I just didn't learn my color theory and how to mix color, so that was the bad side of that. What I didn't know was how I could use black and white in different forms, such as this one, as I'm using it in my layouts. For if I do want to add color, I know where my focal point is at without the disruption of the colors, and then wondering why my art is not working out. So the way that I'm using it in this form is I'm able to see where my focal point is at, where my negative and positive spaces are at, and how that's affecting the audience visually. These black and white thumbs also help visually with understanding the emotion that's coming from the drawing. So depending on the values and the shift between value and the positive negative spaces, you're going to get a different emotion from that, not just only on the composition. So value does have a really big impact on what you're trying to translate to the audience. Because I want to be a master in the arts and I also want to be a great storyteller, this is just something that's going to continue to be a part of my creative practice. And it's also just really important to know this step, because if you're going to be working with clients, then you have to know how to present your idea to the client. And this is one of the ways that you present it to them is in the form of a few thumbnails and then the sketch along with a layout that's going to visually represent the design of whatever the client is asking for. It is very important that you know the visual design process to creating a finalized artwork. And that process is by first figuring out your composition. So getting your idea out there by creating thumbs. Get those thumbs down. And then once you create those thumbs and you choose one thumb or two thumbs out of those. And then the next step would be to figure out the composition and really narrow down the composition and figure out which one is the best one that's you know, telling the story that you want to tell or evoking the emotion that you want to evoke to the audience. So figuring that out, setting the mood with those compositions. Then the next thing would be to furthering that and translating that with value studies. So then you would go in with like black and white, making sure that your positive and negative spaces are what you want them to be. And that will determine your focal point. So whatever you want your audience to focus on, you know, change up your values and see how that composition and how those values are interacting with each other, whether or not, you know, the audience is going to be focusing on what you want them to focus on, or it's focusing on something else that you don't want them to focus on. So do your value studies. Then the next step would be, you know, to finalize that drawing, clean it up, and then afterwards, add some color, play around with different colors after your value studies. Play around with different colors, play around with different palettes. And then once you're done finalizing that, then you go in with the final artwork. So you have your line art, or maybe you do a background. You know, you figure out really the steps to finish that art piece. And that's basically all the steps that you're gonna need to take if you want to be a professional artist. Hopefully you guys understood what I was trying to say, and you guys are able to do this type of work in your guys' sketchbook and just add it to your creative practice. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I really enjoyed creating this comic and sharing my story with you guys about the little bugs. And I hope to do more stories like that. I hope to share more stories with you guys, and hopefully the tips that I'm giving you guys or anything that I'm just sharing with you guys is helping you guys out in your guys' creative journey, whether you're a professional or non-professional yet, especially if you're just starting out. Hopefully my videos are helping you out, and I'm just going to continue to create more sketch videos because sketching is very important as an artist. And it's just something that I try to do as often as possible. So hopefully you guys have the time to sketch and continue to create artwork. And I will see you in the next video.